Hi, I'm Marnie,
Hi, I'm Amika.
and today we're talking about periods.
Am I? I don't know yet.
Why do you think periods are such an awkward thing to talk about?
I think a lot of people think of periods as something that's gross or disgusting, and it's easy to feel like you're the only one who goes through them. But I think it's really important to remember that most women will go through them and you're just one of thousands.
And sometimes it can feel like you're expected to deal with them on your own as well.
When they start, they might not know what they are, and maybe you do feel alone, but it's really important to talk to somebody about it, and then maybe you'll be able to know more.
Is there ever such a thing as a normal period?
I don't think so. I think everyone's is different. Sometimes they can last a few days and sometimes they can be a lot longer. You can start them at different ages. I started mine when I was about 9 or 10. You shouldn't worry if yours is different. It can definitely take a few months to stabilise, and at first it might be kind of different times during the month, but inevitably you'll kind of get into the routine. There are also some really amazing apps out there, and just by keeping a note of when your period has come, that can help you to keep track.
Definitely, and they affect you in loads of different ways. So it could be, your mood, your body might change throughout the month.
There's lots of things you can do to deal with that, and it's important to talk to somebody about that if that's what you're going through.
Exactly, and talking to someone and saying, I've got a really bad stomach cramp today. They might give you some painkillers.
I think all teachers will know that people have their periods at this age, so don't feel embarrassed about talking to anybody.
Some people might feel like they can't do certain things when they're on their period. Do you think your period holds you back?
I've definitely realised it shouldn't, and it doesn't. It's easy to think that you can't do sports or you can't go out, but actually if you're using the right products, if you know how to deal with them, and you should be able to do all the things that you would do otherwise.
And if something does go wrong, everyone goes through those moments.
Exactly. When I had just started my period for the first time, I ended up leaking all over my school uniform.
Oh no.
And and there was a boy who kind of pointed it out to me, and I had to pretend that I'd cut my leg. Looking back, I should have just said, oh, my period's leaked, because maybe he would have felt awkward, but that would have definitely helped us both to feel kind of less awful about what happened.
Exactly. The way I found out that I was starting my period, so my dad said, oh, you sat in something.
Oh,
and
really?
I turned around and I was like, oh my God. But actually, he didn't know, and he wouldn't have intentionally made me feel uncomfortable. And
Exactly.
even if he had, it's about learning to deal with those moments and learning that it's not who you are. It's just something that's happened. And what about the different products?
So there's a huge range. I think the most common would be pads and tampons. As well as that, you can use panty liners, you can use menstrual cups, and I think they can probably be a bit scary at first, but there's loads of different ways of educating yourself about them. There's lots of videos on YouTube or different things that you can read. I think talking to people and finding out what they use can be really useful. So I first started using pads just because that's what my mum had used.
So what about those times when you get caught off guard?
So you could have like a little pouch or a bag that you keep your tampons or pads or whatever, you keep them with you, and you just have that with you at all times. Don't be afraid of asking somebody if they have something. So if it's a friend or a teacher or whoever, just don't be too embarrassed about your period, and don't be embarrassed about asking for a product because you need it.
So why can talking help?
Even though it is something that just affects you and that it is very personal and private, sometimes it's really difficult to just go through that alone every single month. So if you're missing school or if you're struggling to concentrate in class, definitely talk to someone, because they can help you. Talk to a teacher, a school nurse, a friend. If you feel a bit awkward about asking them in person, you could always text it, you could write it down. If you are really worried, if you're in a lot of pain, and if your periods are causing you a lot of difficulty, let's say they're really heavy maybe, it is important that you go and see your GP, because just to make sure that everything's okay.
And if you're finding that conversation really hard to do, you can always practice that with a Childline counsellor. You can call them or say it online for that first time, and that can make it easier as well.
Definitely, I think that's a really good idea.
And what about if you don't have any trusted women in your life?
Go to Childline's website and there'll be information, and you can use their messaging boards. As well as that, if you want more information, you could go to the NHS website or Brook.
So there's loads of information out there.
Definitely.
You don't have to deal with it on your own.
Exactly. I think at the moment there are loads of people out there talking about their periods, and it's definitely less of a taboo subject than it used to be. So just remember, you're doing a really brave and amazing thing. by getting other people involved in the conversation, and one day I'm sure there'll be absolutely no shame and embarrassment around periods.
And I think it's important as well for boys and men, don't feel embarrassed about asking as well, because that's the only way you're going to find out.
You can definitely inform them and then make it less embarrassing for everyone.
So what would you say to anyone who's getting their period for the first time?
It can look really scary seeing a lot of blood, but it's only a few tablespoons a month, so it's not as bad as it looks. You'll figure out what products work for you, how your cycle works, and it will definitely get easier with time.
So thank you so much for coming in today, Amika.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.